It's me, Sean Capri, and welcome to episode 156 of We the GamerCast. It comes to you on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or whatever they're calling it now, and mother-loving YouTube every single Monday. Thank you for being here, hitting the like button, hitting subscribe, sharing with your friends, telling your mother thank you for everything that you do, including supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/makeusbetter, like everybody over there, especially our executive producers, like our platinum executive producer, Edmonton man, Corey Hicks, at twitch.tv/CHicksUnder18, our gold executive producers, Mr. Mark Moody, and the Quest for Pixels guys, Tony Baker and Sheldon Benedict, and all of our executive producers. The list is updated, and I don't have it here. Anyways, I'll just do it in this order. Dude427, Martini Jean, Aaron Doherty, David Ray, Jesse Armstrong, Joel Brooks, James Johnson, Dr. Doom, Tim Aulph, and Bobby Miller. Guys, thank you so much. And many of you who are in that list were on our stream just this weekend with Joseph, and we did the whole 1 year anniversary thing. I'll get to that in just a second. But if you're new, here's the deal. Every week I have sweet hangs with a stranger from the internet, and if you guys want to be on the show, it's very easy. Just tweet at me, at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery Capri, like the pants. If you can just follow me too. That's that kind of sneaky way of getting my Twitter handle in there, in case you guys hadn't noticed that in the first 156 freaking episodes. Ray Osorio, if you're talking, or if you're listening, I need to talk to you very soon. We need to fill in. This is actually 155. There's a gap. Any of you paying attention? I missed one. We need to go back. Ray, E3 is over. We can get this thing settled. Guys, so much exciting stuff happening at the Patreon. We are so grateful for everybody who signed on from the very beginning. And so many people have been coming on board, finding the content. And I got to say, the one thing that I feel just so proud of is the community that we are all part of here. And the Discord is the home. So if you guys if you haven't joined already, the link is in the notes somewhere. I'm sure of it. It's got to be there. If it's not, please let me know. I'm fairly certain it's there. Now that I'm saying it, I will make sure that it is there. Join the Discord. Great. Even if you're lurking, just say hi every once in a while. Pop up. You can be like a little gopher in his hole. Just pop up and say like, hey, hey. You can yell at Steve or Alan or whatever you want to do. Good times, guys. Thank you so much to Joe for running that whole thing. I hopped on his stream over at Bad Big Games YouTube channel. Played a little of everything last night. He played a ton of Fortnite, just handing out red cards or yellow cards or whatever. Also, Victory Royales to anybody who wanted to play with him. So Fortnite fever has taken over. Make us better. It is absolutely nuts, guys. On any system, you fire up your Switch, and I'm sure you guys are all seeing the exact same thing as me. 3 rows of people all playing Fortnite. So what do? I want to play some FIFA, play some Laser League, Gears of War. We had like the craziest crossover. We had Andrew Gonzalez, Luke Lohr, Chris Burdo, Joe. Joe, you never use your last name. You always say, I'm just Joseph. Is it, everybody, it's kind of like this. I'm grateful to you, Joe. Bad bit himself. So we had a great crossover playing some Gears of War for a couple matches, and Joey Hare and Dude427 were there for like the entire time, guys. That is incredible. Thank you so much for all of your support. Definitely going to be doing more and more of that. More appreciation. Just showing you guys and bringing and giving everybody a reason to just be all in the same place at the same time. That's what this is all about. So guys, thank you so much. If I haven't already, I want to make sure that I give a special shout out to Jeremy Piper at Piper, PIEPER32 for being a patron. Thank you, man. I'll just throw that out there. I really appreciate it. And I think it seems like you're enjoying your time with everybody. So keep at it. And everybody else, if you guys haven't, come on in. The water's warm, or whatever they say. Speaking of warm water, or maybe the opposite of warm water, I have to tell you guys, I found a new tip. If you're ever feeling stressed, if you're ever feeling overwhelmed in the world, clean a toilet. I don't know what it is, or maybe this is just me, and I'm not sure why I'm coming in so hot on this mic. Sorry, guys, I'll back off a little bit. What is it about, like, using the little, like, the blue bleach, kind of like the thick, creamy kind of cleaner, and you just spread it around, you get it up under the rim, like, you know, the toilet bowl kind of does the thing, you got to get up under it, and you spray it in there, and then it just kind of, like, oozes down. You're like, oh, that's covering that. That's getting every inch. And all the germs, that kills it and smells great. That might be the best smelling cleaner in the house. And you take your toilet scrubber and you just scrub it. And it gets rid of all the nastiness. And you just feel like you're just fixing everything. So I have a tip. If you guys are feeling a little stressed, take a break from whatever it is you're doing. If you don't have a toilet nearby, if you don't have the cleaner, if you don't have the blue stuff, you need to get the blue stuff. But just clean. I've been cleaning this weekend. I feel great, man. It's been nice just to kind of like just tidy and give myself these little tasks, 15 minutes to just kind of like get that spot little look clean, and it feels good. So I'm in a great mood because also, in addition to having literally just like I can still smell, well, that's soap now because I wash my hands after the bleach situation. I'm going to be on a show called Optional Opinion with my good friend Edward Varnell at That Retro Code, and that starts in 8 minutes, so I need to wrap this up pretty quick. I'll do the outro after that. But right now, Lincoln is sleeping. I had a moment to say hello to you guys and introduce our show today, and I'll get to our guest in just one second. I still have 7 minutes. Pete Barbero reached out to me forever ago, and you know him in the Discord. Everybody is. He released a video at Regulation Gaming and at the EYE crap. Can't remember what it was called. We'll get into it in the chat here. Please check it out. As if that was a great way to freaking... Okay, I'm going to edit that. Okay, so my guest this week is Pete Barbero. Let's get right into it. We have... I made notes about announcing something very soon. Whatever, we'll get to that at the end. Let's just get right into my chat. You can follow him at Pete Barbero1. Here he is, Pete Barbero! Go for it. I crawled around the kitchen today with Lincoln, and I was like, I don't know how you do this, man. This is like the first time I was on my hands and knees since forever. I'm like, that hurts like hell. Work. Yeah, it hurts like hell, dude.
Tough work, man. Oh, yeah. So today, like, I kind of feel embarrassed because I got home from work so my 4-year-old has I said she's 5. She's turning 5 next month, but we did this preschool program called Joy School, a bunch of families from our church got together and put together it's Joy School. I guess it's a pretty common preschool curriculum, and it's been good. And today was their graduation, so I came home. They graduation out on the back deck, and we all ate and whatever. And then I just picked up the house, and now I'm talking to you, and I'm didn't get a chance to even freshen up or take my freaking shirt off or anything. So.
Yeah, the vest and everything, man. I feel like maybe the best dressed ever on the show.
Oh, I hope not. I hope soon I get used to it. I would not want that distinction. I would just say that.
I think it could stand, honestly, and I have full control. I could dress up maybe one day. I could, but I don't think I only have one vest, but I don't think it's as nice as that one. You got your Sunday best today, and it's Friday night.
Oh, it's work clothes.
That's all right, yeah. Dude. When I get home from work, man, as soon as I can, I am out of work clothes and into the stretchiest sweatpants I can possibly find.
Delightful. My wife always gets on my case because she's like, "Don't you want to change your tie? Take your tie off at least."
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, sure. I probably should. I just forget.
That's good, man. It means you're comfortable. It means everything. That means everything fits. That's my problem. Is I just keep gaining the pounds, man. Nothing.
Oh, I have no idea.
As long as this, I guess, for the podcast is okay, then nobody can really tell. But my weight gain is basically below my boob line. So as long as I'm good, then it's everything just sags underneath. So
dad bod club right here. Man.
That's right.
I got the gnarliest dad bod.
Have you? But you look good, man. You look like you're in good shape. What have you? So I'm still clinging to that last maybe hope that I can turn things around. I can shed a couple pounds and maybe just get after it. But I know I've talked to many dads who just nah, that's those days are long gone. So
don't listen to them.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
I will say though, you do a little too much running to lose weight. Running doesn't do crap, man. Run if you like it. Running's great, but
you don't think running helps you lose weight?
No, dude, no.
Okay, let's get down. What's the secret?
So look,
I'm just getting back into it. I feel like I put on weight because I wasn't running, because I was just I would run for 5 minutes and my ankles would swell up. I've done some stretching. I've done my homework. I feel like I can run for 20 minutes and not die. I'm feeling good, man. So, but
that's good. So that's good.
Path.
It's still your cardiovascular health. It still benefits that. That's fine. But we're talking about being bedroom sexy. It's not going to do anything.
Oh snap! Okay.
I'm not going to pretend to know everything.
But you're the one with 3 kids, man. Let's go.
That doesn't mean anything. I have a colleague that was a competitive weightlifter, and now he's a nutrition coach. He's a barber with me. He works in the shop I do, but he's stacked. He's this huge guy, and he's always on everyone's case. He's kind of jokey about it, so he's charismatic about it. He's not a meathead, right?
Yeah.
But it's just funny.
You kind of have it's like metal music, really. You just have to laugh at it. You can't take it too seriously because it's a little scary.
Yeah, if you take it too seriously, you get running into troubles. But if you're gonna do so the biggest contributor to like shaping your body is resistance training and like weight training.
Yeah.
And you do need conditioning with that, but the conditioning has got to be like interval style stuff. Like instead of running, throw on Cowboys from Hell and do hill sprints, man.
Yeah, man. I'm getting there. Like this honestly, this was the best week I've had in like for cardio in probably like 2 years, dude. Like, it's been really rough trying to get back into it. I quit soccer a year ago because I watched our goalie throw out his knee throughout his ACL, or tore his ACL. And then in the second half, another dude smashed his face into another dude's head, and he broke 7 bones in his face.
Shut up.
Like, same game, and I was like, Lincoln was maybe 2 months old at the time, and I'm like, both these guys can't move. Like, the one, I had to call the dude's wife and tell him, your husband's in the hospital, try and figure out a situation for your kids so that you can go get him and figure out all the car. And I'm like, if anybody had to make a call like that to Chelsea, I'd be a dead man. I probably would never get out of the hospital. And even if I did, like, man, just not a good time. And it wasn't even, like, great soccer. So I stepped away from it. But when I did that, I lost that, like, weekly check-in on, like, am I actually like running okay? Am I like advancing? Like, like, am I doing my interval training and all that kind of stuff? And I had totally lost it. So over the last year, like, I just fell out of the rhythm and everything. So, but anyways, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, totally. I just started going to the gym. I'm still so firmly anti-gym. I hate the gym so much. Like, people tell me you're gonna like it. You eventually you'll learn to like it. Hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I'm going. The conditioning thing I'm not doing too well on. I was playing soccer in a like adult league here, and that was nice, but I couldn't go every week. You know, sometimes it was like at 6 o'clock, and I get off work at 6. So
yeah, it doesn't really work out.
I just gotta add that other ingredient, and hopefully I can turn it around. You and me, we're gonna do this.
Let's go. Yeah, like this is the day. Everybody. Well, this is gonna come out in a couple weeks, but I mean, maybe by the time this comes out, we're just gonna be like in the best shape of our life. Maybe that's the secret. I don't know about you, but like my YouTube, whenever I'm like watching videos and stuff, I'm always getting Thomas DeLauer, the dude who's like talking about intermittent fasting. Apparently, I'm not supposed to eat until 2 o'clock every single day. I don't know if that's a thing.
My colleague does that. I'm thinking about doing that.
Yeah, maybe. It's the latest thing, man. Everybody's doing it.
It's really not, though. Breakfast is a myth. Like, breakfast was invented by,
That's what he says.
Dude, I mean, look, I'm just repeating what, like, the dude that wants to sell you his exercise program is saying. But it's pretty interesting stuff. Like,
I agree.
We were sold forever that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but it tends to be the one that sabotages us, and it's just kind of, it's interesting.
I mean, it's
I don't
part
want
of
to be
the
like his shill. I don't want to be his shill. Like, that's not what I'm. I'm really not that into fitness. I swear. Like,
you're like
nutrition.
But if you're interested, you can go to youtube.com/Thomas DeLauer and get 10% off your first order.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Science-based six-pack, man. Let's go. But enough of that, man. Let's talk about video games. Holy crap. I can do it. I no problem. I've done this once or twice before. I asked you in the chat, man, but like, I'm curious because I never know who's gonna show up on the other end of the camera, and like, I had the benefit of now we're well into it. Everything is working, knock on wood. But I appreciate your patience while my technical difficulties resurfaced. But I got to see you.
Close to walking out.
I know, man. I deserve it. I wouldn't even be mad. I would beat you to Twitter and be like, you know what, man? He was right. Everybody, I would have had an episode, but my fault. My bad. Canadian, sorry. So I never know who's going to show up on the other end. Like, I don't know. Like, we've been chatting for a while now. This has actually been, I feel like, over a month and a half even of lining this up. So I appreciate all of your patience.
It was E3, man. My favorite thing, E3.
Dude, I know. Isn't it nuts?
No, I really don't like it.
What? Oh, no.
Anyway, continue. We can talk about that later. It's not that I don't like it anymore. We'll talk about that later. But I don't mean to interrupt you.
Okay, no, that's all. No, if you listen to this show, I don't even know if we'll end up getting to the question, for God's sakes. But I got to see you sitting there before you got to see me, and I was like, oh, totally normal dude. Like, you can just tell, but you never know what is going to show up on the. And I haven't really had like a complete weirdo show up yet, so that's pretty good. We haven't broken that streak yet.
Till today.
But I was curious. My curiosity was piqued when I said, "What are you playing?" And then you listed like old games, man. And one of my favorite games, you did an article on regulationgaming.com about one of my favorite box sets, a game within a favorite box set of mine of all time, Mech Warrior 2.
Mech Warrior 2. I want to say it with you.
I don't know. I didn't play Mercenaries as much. But anyways, I wanted to maybe we can talk specifically about MechWarrior because I could talk about that all day. Soundtrack, best soundtrack of all time.
Oh, you got 3 hours?
Yeah, I know. Well, you wrote quite the essay. So but I want to let's pull back up just a step.
Sure.
Are you in the current gaming sphere? Maybe this is related to your comment about E3, or are you playing old games now? Because my brother is playing a ton of old games always. I feel like he won't buy a new game at any point. So where are you in gaming right now, man?
Right now, I'm pretty firmly both feet in old games.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily on purpose. I've always loved old games. As a teenager, I spent an inordinate amount of time in abandonware websites. And I have basically half of what regulation gaming is me trying to share a bit of my abandonware treasure hunt, because there's amazing stuff. There's an article up there right now about Space Hulk, which I discovered came out in '93 for DOS and Amiga, and I discovered it in 2006 when I was 17 years old, and I played it and I was blown away. It's incredible, and stuff like that is very special to me. So I think this stuff is forgotten, and not that me writing about it will bring it back into consciousness, because no one knows who the hell I am or anything, but it's special to find those kinds of things, and they're free now. And so, but I would like to play current games. Right now, we moved into this house. We've been here for 2 years, but I don't have an office yet. I have my desktop in a closet right now, and I was playing the most recent game I'm gonna get. The next game I'm gonna get is gonna be the BattleTech turn-based tactics game. So it's not that I'm just a retro snob or whatever. I don't even know those people exist. I'm sure they do, but I do retro collect consoles and old games and stuff in my basement in boxes. I got a whole bunch of stuff that's waiting for a family entertainment room / game room, conversion kind of entertainment system that I'm gonna put together downstairs.
Do you have a vision for it? That's half the fun, man. It's just planning that out. Dude, before we moved into this place, I had pages and pages, and I would grab my ruler, make it my square, make everything just perfect, total OCD. These are where the TVs are gonna go, and this is the grid for where all my consoles are gonna go. Nothing even close to what I had drawn up is actually what's happened. But is that kind of where you're at? Are you at the planning stage?
Yeah, I am. I have a pretty clear vision. It's not completely planned out, but it's gonna involve we want to kind of splurge. We don't really splurge much, but we want to splurge on a nice TV when the basement's done. So a nice TV, but underneath in a cabinet that can be closed is going to be a Sony Trinitron that I have waiting for me.
I love it.
And so the old analog video out consoles are going to go into that through switchers, S-Video and S-Video switchers and all that. And there will be on either side there will be shelves where the consoles and games will be displayed, but they can also be they'll have hideaway doors, so you can open it and slide the doors in to hide them, so that it's all open and displayed.
That is
but when my wife doesn't want to see all that crap, we can just close it all up, and it's a really nice entertainment console thing.
That's nice if that's the only concern is I don't want to see all that crap. You're I can deal with that. At least you're giving me that. I can work with hiding stuff. That's no problem at all.
I told her when we were looking for a house, I was I need a place for retro games. I'm sorry. And she's fine.
Yeah, you guys are pretty much stuck together for I think from now on, right? This is something that you can smooth this out. So what about the Trinitron? Where does this thing come from? Because man, as soon as you say that, that's the old Sony flat screen, but still not flat screen. Just literally the screen was flat, but still a tube TV. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah. So
gorgeous TVs.
If you're getting into retro games, people are what's that guy's name at the one that the website and YouTube series that does all really technical stuff about games. What are they called? Come on.
Digital Foundry. Yep.
Digital Foundry. So they're retro guy.
I'm gonna edit that so that I say it before you, even though we said it at the same time. I'm gonna change that up, and you'll be like, "Hey, that's not how that went down."
I will not accept it. No, don't do it. So, he just. The last video I saw was his Power Slave video, a Sega Saturn first-person shooter called Power Slave, and he had just got a PVM, and so people who are way maybe too into it I respect the hell out of them, but they get like the PVM, the old professional video monitors that like broadcasting companies used to have. They're like long and can fit in racks. They slide into racks.
Sure, yeah.
Because those are the only I think some of the only NTSC TVs that have SCART. So like the TV format of North America, NTSC versus PAL in Europe, right? So I think it's the only one that accepts SCART, and SCART is the best analog video signal you can get. So that's just craziness. And also they have like true color because they're meant for video editing and broadcasting. So they're like amazing TVs, but they're rare. They're professional monitors and they're obsolete, and they break easily. And so people spend so much money to have them shipped, and then they break in the shipment, and then they got to repair them. And who the heck do you find to repair a PVM? So like the Trinitron is one of the best consumer level, CRT TVs.
Where does all this knowledge come from? Can I just, because like even you kind of like gave away your age just for those paying attention. Like you're not that old. Like you're pretty young, man. Like for all of this,
I'm
like
29.
like that's not like. I mean, we're not talking to, Bobby Pauls here, the ancient guru who's dead in the ground or whatever. Rest in peace, Bobby. Like I don't know,
Bobby's
man.
Alive. I saw him. I saw him at the mall.
I know, man. I can't believe it. He's back, wandering in LA.
I saw.
Where does this come? Like, it obviously has to be some sort of like fascination. Maybe started with something, or maybe something else. Yeah, maybe he's just a nerd.
No, so I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I don't think it's that long a story. I'm just trying to think of where it starts. I think it starts just with my fascination with old games. Because when I grew up, we had MS-DOS, an MS-DOS computer. So I played Jill the Jungle and stuff like that, right? So Jill the Jungle, Wing Commander.
Wing Commander, not the Freddie Prinze movie, man. It's so good.
That movie can be a good time if you're not really paying attention.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
But I won't defend the Wing Commander movie. But Wing Commander was extremely innovative. That branching story.
Oh, no kidding!
If you try to play Wing Commander now, it's so easy. Like in the ship, the format of the game is you have like your ship, and you can talk to your crew in the ship and everything, and your wing mates and everything. And in the bar, there's the simulation that everyone knows about, where you can go and say like an arcade cabinet and play like Wing Commander scenarios. And there's the kill board that lists everyone's kills.
Yep.
And by the end of Wing Commander, if you go back and play it today, you'll have like 300 kills, and the next person will have like 25.
I should do that.
It got pretty easy. But anyway, my point is, so I've grown up with a lot of stuff like Chuck Yeager's, air, like flight simulators. I play a bunch of flight simulators. Like to this day, I love like IL-2.
What was your joystick? What were you playing with?
Oh, just an old. I didn't have any like crazy HOTAS setup. I just my latest joystick I had was a Cytec Cyborg, which is a great joystick, but it's nothing. It wasn't even force feedback or anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like I remembered a lot of stuff, and I always liked that stuff, and I always revisited stuff. I've always replayed old like games I played before. I almost never left games behind, and I always replayed them and like try to get new experiences. Like I played scenarios of Half-Life probably hundreds of times because of
gosh,
the Marines in Half-Life have that really great tactical AI, and if you break it down, it's pretty simple, but they're still deadly and seem very professional when you fight them, and that's some of the most thrilling gameplay I've ever played. So I go back a lot to this day.
Do you think that carried over to the second one, by the way, on the topic of Half-Life?
No, I do not.
I don't think so either.
I do not. It's a shame. The second Half-Life 2 is a triumph in many ways. And the later episodes, episode 1 and 2, did some pretty interesting things. Episode 2 had those really cool like assassin robot things that attack you in like some farmhouse at some point in the game, and those had interesting AI. Those were cool, but no, they weren't nearly as deadly in Half-Life 2 as they were in Half-Life 1.
Well, and in Half-Life 1, and I remember reading about this too, like I was all into my PC gamers back then, man, and it was all about like Half-Life versus GoldenEye, and I want to get to this too. I know you have something to say about GoldenEye. But Half-Life had like it was, because it's the first one, like it was able to do that moment that no other, like you couldn't do afterwards, where like you thought people were coming to help you, like you like this whole like place, this is a disaster, and then like surely somebody's gonna come help, and then they start firing at you, and they are smart as hell, and you
the first time you see them, they gun down scientists, like you see it from a catwalk.
Man, yes, I love it.
It turns out to just be a cover up. They're just trying to cover everything up.
Like what was this, like 1998? Like what
1998.
What did we do to deserve? I know. You think so?
I'm in the 1998 camp. I'm afraid.
Is there another
Yeah,
camp for
'cause
like 2008? Is it like every 10 years it seems like or 2007 or something?
I can't remember what it is exactly. Like, so people say 90, people say 98, people say 99, people say like 2002 or something. 2004 because Half-Life 2 came out in 2004
Of
and a
course.
bunch of. But 98, man, 98 had Metal Gear Solid. 98 had Half-Life.
Was
98
it
had
Zelda
Ocarina
too?
of Time.
Yep.
Yeah, 98 had Thief. Man, if you want to talk for 7 hours, let's talk about Thief.
Oh man, holy cow, really?
Yeah, Thief is is an incredible series,
This is
man.
how I know your brain is on another level because you're good at strategy games and you're good at stealth games, and this is
I am
like,
not good at strategy games.
oh really?
Stealth games are like, no, I like strategy games. I won't say I'm good at them, but
But okay,
yeah,
so this means that you actually know what good actually means. That means you're good. So where you go, it's like no, I know like my APM isn't quite high enough, so I'm not
oh
that
no.
good. Yeah,
So I
yeah,
play the single player. So
yeah.
that's
Same here. Yeah.
but yeah, like it was a great year, and those games, I was just in the right time. I was just impressionable enough. I think my favorite game of all time is MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, just
Yeah.
specifically. But those games together made '98 pretty special. Seeing Ocarina of Time at a friend's house, man, like just the week after it came out, like what is this? Just
Yeah.
so magical. And I still go back to Ocarina of Time, and I enjoy it. Like I don't feel the age of Ocarina of Time, And like I'm an apologist. I'm easily amused. I look past the flaws basically all the time. That's but and I recognize Ocarina of Time is old and
Yeah.
dated, obviously. It's just magical, man. Like the characters and the economy of like storytelling and the economy of character in that game, because with so little text and just with these really low poly models with these at the time incredibly expressive like faces and animations, they could do so much with what now we would consider so little. It's a real economy of expression that's incredible in Ocarina.
So I wanted to bring because I had a feeling that your gaming even now that you're centered in some older games. Like, what is your sort of take on games then versus now? Like, are we as far along as we should be? Like, and maybe even if we can define like what does that even mean? Like, maybe is there a reason why you haven't left games behind? I should ask my brother this as well because he is very similar. Doesn't want to like unplug his 64 or Super Nintendo. He'll be playing Super Mario World until the end of time, and I can't really blame him. But like, is it that like have games not come as is the have we seen like a diminishing return? I guess is my question. Where like that wow factor, like when you enter Hyrule Field for the first time in Ocarina, you're like, holy crap! Like, you don't get those moments anymore?
No, well, I think you do. I don't think there's diminishing returns. Like looking at the scale overall from then to now, I don't think there's diminishing returns. I think that whole thing comes and goes.
Sure.
And like, we talked about Half-Life and we've mentioned GoldenEye, and I told you that I was playing a really weird cyberpunk, first-person shooter game called Divine Cybermancy. But so I like shooting stuff in games will kind of always be fun. Shooting aliens, shooting people will always be interesting and fun, or it could be always. But I do think that that's where we're starting to get diminishing returns. Like we just shoot so much shit in games, man. We just shoot everything. So a lot of the conversation you see around now is about like, okay, well, now we have really great graphical fidelity. Now we can do all kinds of incredible art styles and evoke so much with the power that we have. So why don't we try something a little different? And that's exciting. I think that that's where the conversation's kind of going, and that's cool. And I'll always want to shoot, and I hate saying this out loud, and it's weird, but I'll always, want to shoot people and aliens and robots and stuff in games. But I think it's cool that now we can have games like Prey, right, which go off of like System Shock and Deus Ex and stuff. Where they're shooting in it if you want, but you don't have to, or stuff like that. Like I think taking that power and shifting it more toward like AI, which I've always loved in shooter games. For me, the one thing that'll make a shooter good, the two things are if the weapons feel big and loud and everything,
Yep.
and if the soldiers, if I feel resistance, if the soldiers are trying to survive and defeat me in battle, that's the one thing that'll win me over. I won't care about graphic story or anything else as much as that. So if we took that step further and took it beyond like battle or fighting scenarios, then I think that's going to be where games kind of break out of their cultural ghetto a little bit.
Well, it's funny that you say that, man. I love this like now and then kind of analysis conversation here, because like when we look back at old games, they were hard as hell, man. And and difficulty came in many different forms, whether it was just like a barrage of enemies or controls that were maybe not as advanced or all these different things. And we became complacent over a while. So like back in the day when difficulty was something, or even like game length, like this game is going to take you forever, it wasn't necessarily a deterrent. It's like, well, you get 3 games a year, you might as well spend 100 hours with this thing, and it's hard as hell.
800 hours, also best game.
Yeah, and it's got 6 levels, and you're never going to beat it because it's so hard. That's why I think 98 you landed a game like Metal Gear Solid and Half-Life, because we were looking for, it was like that apex of challenge and also technology that drove AI. So we were wanting a challenge in the form of a daunting enemy. But after a while, like maybe after the mid 2000s, we started going like, there's too many games. Like I don't really want it to be difficult. I want it to be easy, and tutorials and hand holding and all these other things became a thing. And we forgot that strong AI was something that we used to really herald, and we would like it would get high praise, and it went away. And maybe it's starting to, maybe there's room for it to come back. And I hate to use the whole, it's like Dark Souls thing, but Dark Souls is sort of showing that like you can have, and maybe even some of these Metroidvania games are challenging. They push back on you a lot. Hopefully we can get back to some of the old things that we liked in games, and that's the turn that I'm waiting for, where I did think that maybe we're starting to see a bit of a diminishing return. We're exploring new things like shared worlds and everything, but I really liked, like, I love that you brought up Half-Life, man, because I really am struggling to come up with another game that was like, this AI is so smart, it's gonna kick your ass. Like, why aren't we there? We should be there by now.
I got one. So, well, like Half-Life was really great, and what Half-Life really did, if you break it down, like I said, is pretty simple. We don't have to get too far in the weeds in this, but really, what Half-Life does is when an enemy gets line of sight of you, or a group of enemies get line of sight of you, one will shoot at you, and the others will move. And it almost doesn't matter whether they move; they're just told to move,
right?
And they get a waypoint on the map, and they run there, right? And it's usually behind cover, which was remarkable at the time too. And so there was that. So they seemed to fan out. They seem to not make themselves easy targets, and also try to find a better position on you and distract you with one guy who would suppress you while the others moved.
Yeah, like raptors.
And exactly right. And so they would try to flank you and everything. And so they and the other thing that it did, and it was almost cheating, is when they lost line of sight of you, they would throw a grenade with exact precision to where you were. So if you stay behind cover, you're gonna get, like, the grenade will land on your head if you stay there.
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of cheating, but that's what you want in like a professional feeling enemy. Like, it doesn't have to be realistic; it just has to feel. And they're not cheating, really.
No, because it felt legit. Like, I mean, they're working as a team. Of course, they know exactly where you are, so you don't really.
And I always get a kick sometimes when their HP gets low enough, they have a chance to choose to just pull out a grenade and set it on the ground and run around the corner.
Amazing.
Hoping that you would run after them and the grenade would blow up at your feet. And that happened to me a couple of times.
Dude, that's awesome. I would do that. Like, that's what a human being would do. Like, that's like not a human being maybe, but like a human player, like a player character.
Well, and often what would happen is when they would set it down, you would be rushing them down because you knew you were whittling their health down, and they would die, and they would die basically over the grenade, right?
Dude, that's like, I'm telling you, that's what I would do in GoldenEye all the time, because the proximity mines, like, they took a second for them to really set. So if somebody's chasing you, throw it in front of you, it'll take a second to set, and of course the guy running behind you.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that the fear, the first Fear game had crazy, like, soldier AI that was always challenging and always different. And Fear is another game I go back to, and even the demo I played over and over and over and over, because sometimes they would like pull down like a utility rack, like a tool shelf, like pull it down to block your progress. They would slide out couches to take cover. They would pull down vending machines. if they saw your flashlight, they'd yell out flashlight, and then you just hear like a tink 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 of a grenade that they threw where the flashlight came from.
It's all coming back to me. Yeah.
Like one time I saw 2 soldiers take cover behind the same wall, and the other one said move, and the guy that just got there like had to get up and move. Like we're too close together, get out of here, you know. But anyway, so sorry, I just wanted to throw.
Why are you? I wanted to know what the. I'm not going to disagree with that. That Fear example is, and they all started like all these games came out of like the same. Really, the Quake engine, then the Source engine is sort of like a stepbrother from all id Software just really started it all. And I remember the time. Do you remember a game called Sin? It was a first-person shooter.
That was supposed to be the Half-Life killer.
It was so stupid, man. But it was over the top. It was like boobs and bullets, and like that was 90s, early 2000 like first-person shooter. I got my 3D accelerator. Oh man, now I can really go on 3D accelerators. So what was it about? I want to jump to no, hang on. I want to jump to GoldenEye because we mentioned the proximity mines.
Sure.
What do you think that it's maybe getting unfair? It's getting slammed unfairly these days. Like, as I still love it, but maybe have you been hearing stuff that people are not loving as much as maybe they should? What's your thoughts on this, man?
Your friend CJ, it's CJ at Player One Podcast, I think.
Yep.
His whole thing is GoldenEye was never good.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine. You know, like
he's wrong.
GoldenEye.
Sorry, Chris.
Yeah.
To say it was never good is totally unfair, man.
Just say you never liked it. It's okay. But anyway, like Chris is a great guy, you know, God bless him. But no, so it's got problems, it's got issues, but what GoldenEye does, and I spent some time in multiplayer. My friend was a god with facility remote mines. Like you could be anywhere on the map and you would spawn and you would blow up immediately. He was I don't know how he did it. Like even if you screen peeked, I don't know how he could be that good, but so I had fun with multiplayer, and that's the thing people always talk about is the dorm room game, you know. But GoldenEye to me, its triumph was its single player, and the fact that it was a mission-based game with objectives, and you had all the James Bond gadgets, and you used them all in interesting ways, and at sometimes you could even use them in ways that weren't supposed to be used, and that work. But what I love about GoldenEye, and what I don't even think the remake for the Wii and the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 got as much, is so my favorite movie director is John Woo, and I'm an action movie freaking nerd.
Yeah, man.
And John Woo directed the film Mission Impossible 2, which is a big old steaming turd. Right?
Yeah, I'm glad you said it.
But to me, if he was still in Hong Kong and they went to John Woo and they said, "We want you to do a James Bond movie," it would be GoldenEye N64, because there's some secret agent stuff like with the gadgets and everything in GoldenEye, but in GoldenEye quite often stuff just goes wrong and they just come after you. And even today, like I challenge anyone to go back today and tell me that the GoldenEye weapons are not great. Like
they
fire,
are great.
Almost every single weapon in GoldenEye N64, and they're so loud. They feel so powerful. They're fabulous, man. Like as gross as that is to say in this climate, especially, I recognize that. But
I'm gonna here's how about this to agree with you, because my neighbor and I, we hooked up the N64 to our computer, and we would record the sound effects so that when we made movies in Windows 3D Movie Maker, we would import GoldenEye sound effects to fire guns.
Such a man after my heart. Oh my goodness,
dude! Like it was like, I am not kidding. Like the assault rifle in that game is like nothing else. It's like piercing, and even the way that
that's the weapon you have the most, right? Yeah. The KA7, AK-47 knockoff, like that thing.
No, there's another. I can't remember what model or whatever it is. You're right. There's an AK, but there's also another like with it's just like it bursts like the.
Yeah, it's like the M16 knockoff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that thing. I mean, it's kind of the opposite, because you want your AK-47 to be more powerful and more crazy than your M16. But I'm not, but in GoldenEye, they felt great, man.
Yeah,
and that muzzle flash, you're right, is incredible. And of course, there's the RCP-90. That shotgun doesn't get enough credit. Everyone talks about first-person shooter shotguns. GoldenEye shotgun's amazing, and it's just so bassy and just like a thump, And GoldenEye, and so it's John Woo if he did James Bond, because the body count is out of control. Like so, there's that, right? Like there's hundreds of people in now.
Just lining up in the door too. I picture the facility where they all cram in those corridors and the doors like sliding open, but also they were like meat shields as well. So like the guys could stand behind the dude who's like in his death animation, slowly falling to his knees, and the other dude would be behind him shooting. It'd be so frustrating. Like that would be a rage quit moment all the time, man.
And that's the fun thing about it, and the tactical thing about it, and also the John Woo thing about it, right? Because the animations were incredible. Like today, almost no one does like, oh, I got shot in the hand animations, oh, I got shot in the leg animations, and now I'm limping. Like almost no one does that. Like you see it sometimes, but it was just incredible. And although the enemies were kind of simple and they're animated kind of slow, it just added to the cinematic John Woo almost slow motion feel of it all. And so much of the environment was destructible. So you have the John Woo stuff blowing up everywhere. I know. Particle effects for the time.
Chairs would explode, man.
Yeah, with like a little tiny like fireball like this big, like a spark. Like if you remember what was the map at the end where you have to put mines on? It's like the 3rd or 4th level. It's the one before the runway. We have to put the mines on the gas tanks, and Trevelyan meets up with you at that point. And the next mission is the runway where you have to like go find the keys of the airplane and escape. So that mission, is that not facility?
Is that like the very end of facility where you put the mines?
It might be facility. I'm
blanking a little bit.
I think you're right, but whatever it is, people at home will know. Yeah. So check it out. Listen.
No way.
That's my email notification.
Oh my! I feel like I have to like study for finals right now. Like that was.
There's this like lab equipment in that mission, and it's on a table, and it's got glass like beakers and whatever on it. And if you blow up the table will wreck, right? It'll like go into there's like 3 or 4 stages of destruction of the table.
I know exactly what you mean.
But when you blow it up the first time, all the stuff falls off the table and it all shatters on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, in the sound and the explosions, it's John Woo doing James Bond, and it is a complete triumph in every aspect. Well, not every aspect. There's problems. Like some of the missions, like Statue is a problem. Like that Statue mission is a problem. But it came out in 96, 97, man. Like,
that's where you meet up with the Russian dude. He's hiding in one of like the shipping crates or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah, you get lost so easy.
And then to finish that mission in double agent mode, the helicopter explodes. When you get to the helicopter, you have to run back through when you have like shotgun Spetsnaz guys coming after you. And the location of the black box of the helicopter you have to find is random. So that's a nightmare mission. So I'm not going to sit here and defend everything, but in every way that matters, GoldenEye 007 is a complete triumph. It's a masterpiece. And I don't care what anyone says.
And it's like, it's really too bad that when they did the remaster, you do want that in like every sense of the word, just like prettier. That's it. Although one thing that I think of, and I think just worked in that the animations of the characters when they were dodging your fire was so slow, but like because of the controls that we were using, that was just enough. Like they would kind of like duck and move and like laterally strafe. Like it worked, and it was so frustrating because your eyes are watching them like move this slow animation. They're like, I'm over here, and you're like trying to get the thumbstick over to go look at them, and you're just missing. You're emptying clips into the wall. And everything
but the wall blows up so good, man.
I was just going to say that, man. It doesn't even matter. You're just like, oh, look at those bullet holes. Those are sweet.
In Perfect Dark, which is built on the GoldenEye 007 engine and is, a spiritual successor to GoldenEye 007's late N64 game, is similarly a triumph because it has more, so in both of those games, it has to be said, the frame rate is bad, and that can be a problem. But despite that, like... Perfect Dark had more secret agent stuff and it was more sci-fi and had incredible weapons too, man. The Cyclone, where you'd load your magazine by sliding a card through the gun. It would slide through like a credit card almost and come out the other side.
Yeah.
It also had great weapons that were very loud and felt good.
Isn't it just too bad though? Like Call of Duty, we just see now them getting rid of their single player, and it's like this is you mentioned like these are mission based and like depending on the difficulty, not only were the enemies harder, but you had more objectives. And you're just getting more and more involved. Like the replay value was like kind of the best ever example of replay value, and maybe an example of the best ever. Like
great example for sure.
Why don't like one of these like pillars of first person shooters, just like, or something that doesn't have to be limited to first person shooters. Like, what a great, nobody copied that. And that just completely blows my mind. Like, maybe it didn't sell as well as I don't think it sold as well as we all remember
Perfect
it.
Dark might not have, because it was very late. The Dreamcast was already out, but GoldenEye sold like crazy. So GoldenEye was a great success, as I understand it.
Well, and a lot of people were inspired by, like, that people our age were playing that growing up, and now those people are going on to make games. I'm just surprised. Maybe we're another generation away from that, as like as we watch indie developers make their 8-bit games and their 16-bit games. We got to wait for them to get to their 64-bit games that they're making independently.
I was actually going to say that I think a really smart indie developer with good resources could do something like that, because I mean, the reason why is obvious, because the single player doesn't make the money. The multiplayer makes the money. There's all kinds of things you can buy, and there's microtransactions in the multiplayer thing, and that's like, I kind of hate it, but I'm not going to say it's like the worst thing ever if it's done honestly, but that's the reason why. And so I think if you got an indie developer to develop a first-person shooter like this I Divine Cybermancy game that I'm playing right now, if you were to do that, then you could do something like that. They could do a mission-based, objective-based game where you're a secret agent and the difficulty depended on, or your objectives depended on the difficulty. That could definitely happen. I don't know of any examples right now that are out, but I feel like, whereas GoldenEye 007 was really expensive at the time to make and really fraught with problems, and it was going to be a on-rails shooter at first, and they changed it to a first-person shooter later, and then like, it was just this expensive thing. It was kind of a fiasco. Multiplayer was put in the last 2 months of development of that game.
That's nuts.
It's crazy. So it was this fiasco, or it wasn't a fiasco. It was like fly by the seat of your pants, and it was very expensive. They went on the set, they took pictures, they did all those faces for all the NPCs and everything.
Right.
Now, I think we have the resources through like Unreal and Unity and whatnot to do that far more cheaply. I think an indie developer or an indie team who's really smart and wanted to do something like that could. And there's also the market question, like, would people buy it? Would enough people buy it? Right?
I mean,
like,
I wonder. I think because it hasn't been done, there probably isn't anybody who's like racing out of the gates to go like, that's the secret. Like, everybody's chasing after Battle Royale right now. Like, why would anybody think that this old model that nobody ever picked up on after GoldenEye was a thing? But I don't know. I'm curious, like, if people are listening and going like, I would love that type of game. I feel like nobody really wanted a balls hard game before Dark Souls showed up, and then that sort of, it was a bit of a groundswell.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, it was a thing, and then it went away for, God, probably like 20 years of like genuinely challenging games, and like the point of it was to overcome that challenge. Like, I don't know, it's just, there's space for it now. That's the other thing too. There are more gamers now than ever before. So maybe there's a niche out there for it.
I often think I want to make games, and then I try briefly through the Unity or whatever. And, I don't have the time or anything to dedicate to it, but I write down stuff. And one of the idea I have is a third person. It could be like abstractly, like with abstract, artful graphics, not necessarily realistic, expensive graphics, but with somewhat randomized levels that would be like a roguelike 13 to 15 level thing where you are a John Woo type hero and you only get weapons from like the thugs and whatnot that you gun down, and there's lots of slow motion and there's lots of stunts and there's lots of tricks, and you go through mission by mission, and things like you set your cigarette down on the floor, and if you get through the mission without anybody stepping on the cigarette, then you get a bonus or something like that.
Dude, that is awesome.
Like, so it's in some ways like kind of an old like level based. It's not necessarily objective based, or there's no gadgets or secret agent stuff, but a level based, and it would be in the zeitgeist because it would be like a roguelike type thing, which is all the rage.
Totally.
Too. And that would be neat.
You'd be great at like designing achievements and trophies. Like, that's sort of like that could almost be in almost any game, but like, yeah, like that extra little like, who even thinks of this sort of thing type of challenge is like totally gets people excited, man.
Yeah, but anyway, like, so to your point, like, I think there are people who want to make that stuff, and more people are being able to make games. There's the resources out there. It's easier and easier. But
I have to ask you though, John Woo's come up a couple times. Did you ever play? And now I'm going to blank on the name. Stranglehold, I think it was called. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever play that? Good times, man.
I played a little bit of it. I think I played the demo at a friend's house.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it.
Yes, the demo was great.
Yeah. It was no Max Payne, but I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the bullet time era.
Is
everything was going to be super slow-mo.
Yeah, we want to talk about Triumph, Max Payne 1 and 2. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
we
wow.
want to talk about them.
How come?
Well, shoot, I don't know. You want to get into this? Max Payne 1 and 2 are incredible. Have you played them?
Yeah, man.
It's like...
But I didn't bring it up. I'm waiting for... so go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's the John Woo thing. Max Payne came out in 2001. It was like right after The Matrix, 2 years after The Matrix came out, right?
Yep.
And it was a pretty... It's kind of a run-of-the-mill, like, cop, hard-boiled, like, oh, they gunned down my wife, fridging the wife kind of problematic stuff, and they killed my wife and my kid. And it's actually, when I saw it for the first time as like a 15-year-old, I was crushed by that imagery. It was very kind of graphic, but it was also kind of moving at the same time. I felt like it earned it in a weird way, even though it probably really didn't. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I probably
15-year-old film critic, like, oh my goodness, this is the most compelling thing I've ever seen. It's like in your 15 years of life. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So,
and then this was Remedy. This was before Rockstar took over. So this was before Alan Wake, before everything else. Yeah, man. Yeah. I was playing like Dead to Rights back in those days.
Dead to Rights is crass and gross, but Dead to Rights is so much fun. I love the blending of the melee combat and takedowns with the gun combat. It was and the fact that you would never reload your guns, and that's what I love. You never reload your guns. You just drop the gun and get another gun from the ground. It's so John Woo.
I know. It is like this thing that like. It's so anti-gaming. Like we've been reloading guns forever and ever. But
that game was hard.
Dude, you're not kidding.
It was hard too, by the way.
Yeah, well, and it was Andy playing with the Duke. Like, how the heck are you even supposed to control this thing? My giant freaking Xbox controllers. I have to ask, like, how many, like, these games, you have, like, there's, every now and then I come across people with excellent memories, and you have an excellent memory of, like, gaming moments. Like, were you playing these games, like, over and over and over again, like, all of them, or is your memory just, like, photographic? Is that, like, what's the deal, man?
No, I had a life, too. I've always
it's like I played GoldenEye yesterday.
Right. I always strive and have striven for a balanced life. You know what I mean? It's always been important to me. I've had friends. I have friends that love video games, and I've always had friends that were just as close that didn't. And so we always, had a variety of activities to engage in. But I don't know what it is. Like, I kind of remember lyrics to songs. I kind of remember, like, scenes from movies and lines from movies,
Movies is my thing. Yeah.
If someone gets like one word wrong in the line, I like have to stop myself from correcting them. It's the worst. It's
like the twitch and everything. Just like that's not it. Yeah, you kind of mumble it under your breath, like.
Yeah. in my worst moments, yes. So I don't know. I think it's just a little bit of my personality. I love art an awful lot. And I think even something so crass as Dead to Rights or, Max Payne in its crassness still kind of gets there with just the creativity of its format, the storytelling format, and the visual novel style, and the voice acting, which is incredible, and the writing is very good, often tongue-in-cheek, often kind of funny, but often very moving at the same time.
But self-aware, like, and it knew what it was. Definitely. Yeah, like, it wasn't trying to be something it wasn't.
So I consider that art, and so I think I just love art an awful lot. Yeah, so
what's it like now with the kids though? Like this is a somewhat recent development in your life with a 4 going on 5-year-old. How is it now balancing the game time and all of that kind of stuff? How does it all mix together? Because I need hope, man.
It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. I try not to. Certainly with my family, but just in general, I try not to be on my phone all the time. But something that has kind of helped me hold on a little bit, which, outside of this conversation, people might debate whether or not that's good, is just emulation. I emulate an awful lot of, and have emulated an awful lot of games on my phone. Old console games I never heard of in some cases, or I never got to play and always wanted to. And so I just got RetroArch and the Saturn emulator with the impronounceable name that I'm looking up right now.
I love that you.
Yalbaz,
Yeah, sure.
Albay, Saturn emulator, and recently I even gone to like doing DOSBox on my phone, which is
Oh
kind of crazy.
snap! That's
Yeah,
awesome. It
and
works pretty good.
so it depends on the game,
Sure,
but
of
yeah,
course. Yeah.
it's fairly. The DOSBox client I have, the port I have, doesn't do sound basically at all.
Mm.
But I was playing Earth Siege, which is another giant mech game.
Holy
on it.
crap, man.
But like so that has helped. Like if my station's clean and I don't have a client at work for a little bit, I'll do something productive, or maybe I'll play a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, throw in some UN Squadron, man. Let's get some UN Squadron some love over there.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll do that, but the Twitch games I usually don't play.
Sure.
I got way into tactics RPGs.
Oh yeah, man.
I was playing like a couple years ago. I played almost through. It's so difficult and such a long game, but I almost played through what I think is the best Fire Emblem, which is Seisen no Keifu, which is genealogy of the.
Oh no, Discord is blanking. You're gonna have to say this name over again when you come back. Hold please, everybody. Is this actually just gonna totally crap out on us? No, come on, Discord.
Sean.
There, we're back. Holy crap. Right. Discord did not like the name of that Fire Emblem game.
So it's Seisen no Keifu, which is, I guess, been translated to Genealogy of the Holy War, which is a bitchin' name, man. And it was the first Fire Emblem game to go through 2 generations, and who you paired up in there, and it's also the first one with a relationship system. And
what do you mean it goes through 2 generations? Like
so
of families?
You play the first half of the game with the parents of the characters from the second half. And who you pair up determines the stats of the children characters and their classes and everything. And so it was a very interesting game, had a great story. It had I felt real like tactical battlefield decisions. I was impressed in the first map I played where they have these bandit characters that'll go off to villages and raid the villages, and you save the villages and usually get a reward for it. And there was villages I just couldn't reach. Like there's no way I can go for that village and expect that character to survive. I have to let it go. Like that was impactful for me because in my mind I'm imagining people suffering and dying because I decided to not risk sending someone over there.
That is intense, man.
It's an incredible game. It's got it's Fire Emblem, so it's totally obsessive compulsive. Like you got to get the exact right square right that you move your guys to or whatever.
Well, that's what I was getting. Like, are you doing that on your own, or are you able to find like game facts or something like that? Like, how are you cutting through all of this stuff? Eventually, Discord's gonna catch up with us.
Yeah, it did. I got that question. I have used game facts. I have, if there's like a character I like, I'm like, I want to see if I can recruit that guy. I'll bet you I can't recruit that guy. I'm going to look it up real quick. I've done that a couple of times, but save states, Sean.
Oh, sure.
Save state, fast forwarding and those games are, like, in my opinion, playing those games emulated is the only way to play them.
Yeah. Well, it changes. It's almost like having a game genie, but not quite. Like it doesn't feel quite as much like cheating, like because it basically just modernizes the experience. I'll
challenge myself to be like, I'm not going to save for 20 turns, and then if I lose, it still sucks. But or if I lose a character, it still sucks. But
permadeath. Holy crap!
Like whether or not I go back to reload the save after a while, if it's too far, and try to save the character, depends almost entirely on if I feel like it. But like, I don't want to deal with this. I'll just let him die, and it's like, and it still has that like, oh man, I lost that guy, but I really don't want to go back. So I just lost him, and that sucks. It hurts that you lose that archer or whatever, So.
Oh yeah, no kidding. You need that. Crap. I'm late to Fire Emblem, but I cannot wait. E3 is long gone by the time this airs, but I got pretty hyped just the thought of a new Fire Emblem coming up on my Switch. I want to before we round things out here, I do want to talk about the website, man. GamingRegulation.com.
Regulation Gaming, yeah.
I totally am dyslexic. Regulation Gaming. I'll get it right in the show notes, probably.
I'm here for you.
What is it, man? Where does it start? You have excellent writing essay. Like you go into full detail. Mech Warrior 2. What is this site, man? Where did it come from?
Thank you. So my best friend actually built the website. He's the IT muscle behind it, and so it's still we just started. But and I think it's the first website he's ever built from the ground up, just like for himself. And So we're old souls. So it's basically a blog, but we built a custom website, which is not what you do, but we did.
Who needs WordPress?
We always wanted to do something with games because he's married with kids too. He's got a beautiful family. He's one of the best human. I'm very fortunate to have him as a friend. He's one of the best human beings I know. And he had all these ideas. He'd run past me like, "Oh, let's do something on Twitch, like a talk show on Twitch." And I'm like, "Cool, whatever." He's like, "Let's do this." And I would come at him with ideas too, like, "Oh man, I have this idea." And I just started pulling up Google Docs and just like writing down stuff because I listened to a lot of podcasts and I would find myself hearing things like CJ saying GoldenEye was never good, for example. and I would just like, I'd want to comment on them. And sometimes I would always be very nice. I'm not an internet. I'm 29 freaking years old with a wife and 3 kids. I'm not going to be a dick on the internet.
Yeah.
But
with that said,
I wanted to articulate it forever. And I've talked to people in my life about things I'm into, like sports and games, and they're like, you're pretty articulate. I'm like, you say so, whatever. So I just kind of took that to heart a little bit and just started pulling up Google Docs and just writing when I have free time and trying to get thoughts together.
I love that.
Been a really nice kind of like personal enrichment project of mine. And as it started coming together, I started showing Brock, and he really would. Brock is my friend. I never mentioned his name. His name is Brock.
Hi, Brock.
And he would really like it, right? He'd really like it, and he would encourage me. And I had another friend who at the time was like a student teacher in English. And my favorite movie of all time is an older film called The Six String Samurai, which is a post-apocalyptic martial arts rock and roll.
Holy crap! It keeps getting better.
Sort of like sort of Wizard of Oz. It's like inspired by the Wizard of Oz, and he wrote in college this incredible like exploration of the connection between that film and Wizard of Oz that like made me cry. And this is a film I've seen like 45 times, right? And so I got him to like proofread the first couple stuff, and he was encouraging me in that way. And so I just felt encouraged all around.
Yeah, man.
And now he's super busy, but I got Panache Malloy from the Discord. She's been super, super generous, taking time to proofread some of my stuff and help me with it. And I can't access the website right now for some reason because the way we access it is just screwing with me. So my friend has to put everything up. So it's we're getting a lot of help. And, people from the Discord have encouraged me, like Jans and Tammy and stuff like that, just have been really encouraging. So it's just that. It's a personal enrichment project. I've been getting kind of positive feedback from it that's helpful. And I feel like it is just nice. I feel like these games don't have anyone to stand up for them, which is stupid because who the hell cares? But,
no, man, you don't have to downplay it at all. I think there's everything you're saying about it is
I love.
Yeah.
And I would like to share them. That's all it is.
Yeah,
it's not at all confrontational. It's all just like celebratory. And the biggest, most popular, most well-known game on there is MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. The other ones are like kind of weird.
Yeah.
So, I just feel like I want to just share the stuff, and so I want to do it in the best, most articulate, most interesting to read way as possible. Because who the heck reads anymore?
I know it's so sad, man. Because I love writing, and but it's hard. Like even as somebody who's like, I find myself going, I got to read that review, and I'm like, really force myself like, don't go to the bottom, don't just scroll to the number. Oh, I did it! I just did it, and now I don't want to go back and read
reviews anymore.
I know.
I don't really.
They were everything, dude. Like I read every single review in my official Xbox magazine, my PC Gamers, everything else. Like it didn't matter if it was like the crappiest thing. If it was a half-page review, I would read it. And now it couldn't be bothered, man.
Yeah, and I was way into GameSpot, and one person who I felt wrote really well and kind of turned me on to like, hey, like writing about games isn't a stupid thing, was Kevin Van Ord, he worked on Divinity Original Sin 2 now.
Oh wow, yeah.
He's a big developer now. He's a writer really. And and there's like the guys from Campo Santo, the ones who released Firewatch, they have a podcast that's kind of on hiatus because they're kind of busy. They got about
kind of working for Valve now.
But they do Idle Thumbs. And the way they talk about games, and they themselves have kind of said this isn't really me inventing this connection, But the way they talk about games is like the way that Anthony Bourdain, rest in freaking peace, talks about like food and traveling and culture. Like I love the way they talk, and they're super like vulgar or whatever about it. So they're hilarious, but they are just so articulate and so thoughtful in what they say. And like I'm like I want to be like that. Like I want to talk like that.
Yeah, man. Well, and I love just so what I love probably the best, the thing that you talked about, this is like a personal enrichment project. That's exactly what this is. I connect so freaking strongly with that. Somewhere on the internet, somebody can find allinfunandgames.wordpress.com, and that was like my first go at like, I just want to write about stuff. I just want like
I'm gonna look that up and post that all over the Discord, man.
It's gonna be. I don't know, man. I don't think it's. Who knows? Maybe it's maybe because I wanted to take it so seriously back then. Maybe it is good, but I don't think it was. I think I was being more clever. I think I was a little verbose back then. I think
You're verbose?
I was. Yeah, believe it or
I don't
not.
know a thing like that.
Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, just like super like, oh man, this analogy is just like the best, and I better just like throw it in. Nah, nobody understands what the hell you're saying.
You're throwing me under the bus here.
I just know, I'm just trying to like set expectations appropriately so when people go to see that. But it all like, it's just, there's something so satisfying with like having this idea of like, wouldn't it be great if, and you could just like articulate a thing and just try it, and then it's there and you accomplish it and you're like, good for me. Like, I don't know, we don't get too many of those.
It feels good.
It's nice, man. So I love this. Like the whole start from a Google Doc is like the best thing I ever heard. It wasn't like you're starting out going like, I hope that I'm famous. It was, you're just wanting to get some, like, just see what happens when you put your hands to the keyboard and see what appears on the screen. I think that's beautiful, man.
Or slap my finger across the screen. Or, hey, look, but hey, don't get me wrong. If someone wants to pay me for that, be my guest.
Dude, I connect very, very strongly with this. I want to close on this, dude. I think if you were to start a podcast, I think your podcast idea, you nailed it, is just reacting to shit people say on their podcast. So like your topic of the day could just be like based on like the slew of shows that you listen to, and be like, today's topic is brought to you by CJ on Player One Podcast, and just like throw it down every week.
Those guys are great, man. No, don't say that. Don't say that.
No, I love those guys. Dude, before we wrap up, do you have anything that you wanted to ask about or chat about? Did I miss anything? Is anything on your mind before last chance?
How are you, man? Not to drag this out and wrapping this up. How are you, quickly?
I'm really good. Okay, so, man, this is the magic of time traveling in podcast land. So, as I mentioned, I don't know if this is before we started recording or when we ended up talking about this, but Lincoln looks like somebody's beating the shit out of him. He's falling all over the place and everything. But the thing I didn't mention was that our oldest dog, he's 14. He's losing his hearing. He's on kidney medication. He got spooked by Lincoln, and he just kind of snapped and didn't bite, but sort of like ran into him with an open mouth, and he kind of ran his teeth up on his forehead. Yeah. So it looks like a pretty nasty bite. So we have a decision to make. We have a situation on our hands, I think, because he did it again. Just like he didn't bite the second time, but he's just a little snappy. So we've got an old dog who doesn't know where he is, and we have a baby and another one on the way. So other than that, doing really great. So by the time when this airs, I will hopefully have the intro updating on that situation. But the last couple of days have been tough, and this time yesterday it was like this dog is getting put down. At this time, we're looking at kind of like a foster home for him. So like there's this whole system where like there's like a senior rescue dog thing. So what's weird is that like I was pretty separated from putting the dog down. I couldn't picture it. I didn't think that was even going to happen. Like I wasn't quite there. But because I'm actually like I'm there with this new one, and this is the one that is whining in the background. Is not him. I know, buddy. We're almost done. Because I can actually picture, and I can come to grips with this foster home situation. I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Like I can picture it. I can like I'm in it. So this morning we were talking about it while I was at work, and I'm like, it sounded like I was being very distant on the phone. And Chelsea like, are you sure you're okay with this? And I'm like, I'm just like barely trying to get the words. I'm like, I just try not to bawl my eyes out of work right now. But otherwise. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm good, man. Other than that, gaming is like the best ever. I just picked up like a ton of games on my stupid Switch. And play some soccer slammers for World Cup. And
hell yeah, go Iceland.
Really?
That's why they're. So the problem is they're in the group of death. but they're who I've got my heart.
Okay, let's go. I'm with you. Italy's out, so like whatever.
Yeah,
that's my closest. That's my closest. Yeah.
So, hey, dude, I'm sorry to hear about your dog. I can't imagine. We had a long time ago when my oldest was I think 1 or 2. We were staying at my wife's uncle's house, and they have an adorable little dog named Ricky Bobby. I think he's a Westie. And we left her. She must have been 2 because she was walking around, and we left her for 2 seconds out of our sight, and she pulled on the tail or whatever, and the dog like bit her in the face, and it was the worst.
Oh man.
Thing. And the dog was like, they didn't make any tough decision about the dog or anything, which I'm kind of also glad about, and my daughter ended up being okay in it, obviously, but yeah, I haven't had a pet in a long time, but I can only imagine that's a tough thing. But hey man, listen, you know, the whatever happens, the dog's gonna be a nicer, better place, and life will continue, and we soldier on.
That's right. I mean, that's the thing. We kind of sign up when we take these things on, that we're gonna outlive them. So, and it's been a lot more fun joking around about, oh man, 3 dogs and 2 babies, but like eventually they'll die off. And then it's like, okay, I was like, that was a joke, man. I was just messing just a second ago. Like I was literally joking about that like last week. So yeah, it is part of life. But I think this is. Who knows, man? He could have another couple of years, like just living out on some acreage somewhere. So
yeah.
But thank you for asking. Thank you for being a sounding board, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for your patience with my technical difficulties, dude.
Not at all.
You're a wonderful person. This was an awesome chat, man. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate what you do. I think the concept of the show is wonderful. Every single show I've listened to of this since I listened to basically since you were on Player One podcast. I went back a couple episodes, and since then listened to all of them. I've like
all of them.
No.
Oh, I mean, thank God. Okay, I see.
2 episodes before that.
I'm like, please don't do that.
I just like, hey, Diet Pepsi, good choice. I've felt. I don't want to use the word enriched. I use that a lot, but it's been ennobling to hear these people and people that come in contact with you to be on a show, and I just feel so happy that there are people out there, especially in this community and in this kind of kind of culture of like video games and stuff, that are just that good and that sincere and that open, and it's just really I feel like it's just, I don't know. I love it.
Holy crap, man! My heart is is overwhelmed right now. Thank you
You're
very much.
You're doing good work. You're doing good work. So keep that head up. You know.
Well, there's no better place to do end a show than there, man. Thank you very much. People can follow you on Twitter at Pete Barbero. How do you pronounce Barbero? Barbers01.
Yeah,
I didn't want to over enunciate. I didn't want to get offensive or anything.
Spanish word for barber. So
yeah.
And so Instagram is Regulation Gaming. I can tell you that, but Instagram is Regulation Gaming. Twitter is Barbero1, and regulationgaming.com if you want to read my trash, and that's I think everything.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. Okay, we could go on and on. Thank you. I'm going to end the show right now.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Can I get a couple up more people talking about Half-Life and MechWarrior and the good old games of the late 90s on the PC, man? That was such a trip. Thank you so much to Pete. And I was trying to think of it. I think that I tweeted that he reminded me of Luke Lohr, but I also think he reminds me of Turbo Jesse a little bit too. He might be a combination of Turbo Jesse and Luke Lohr. And how about that Sharp Dresser? If you guys listen to the audio, you owe it to yourself to go over to youtube.com/WeTheNerdy. And Best Dressed Dude, I think I mentioned that. I don't remember if that was at where we talked about that. Did I chop it off, or is it in there? Vest. He was all vested up, looking smooth, and that music just as smooth. Sweet segue, me. Final Fantasy VII Cosmo. It's the brand new track. It's the #1 track over at ocremix.org. Guys, thank you for listening, hitting the like button, following me on Twitter at Sean Capri. Sean like Connor, Capri like the pants. The show is We the GamerCast. The website is We the Nerdy. Remember, tonight, Monday, I'm going to talk to Jason Lacey on If We Ran Nintendo. I'm going to do the Xbox Drive every Thursday with my good friend Dave on a Skype call in my car because that is crazy. It's the best Xbox show. Also, the most horsepowerful podcast on the internet. And if you like any of this, if you want to support me and a number of other content creators on the internet, you go over to patreon.com/makeisbetter, throw us a buck or two, and it just fixes the world, man. It feels as good as cleaning a toilet with that thick blue, creamy bleach, whatever the heck that stuff is. It's basically the same. Supporting us on Patreon is like removing the bacteria from your toilet. So go do that. Both are important. Both feel very good, and they make you just have a great day. Thank you so much to our artists, Gary Gray and Adam Leonhardt, for drawing the stuff. Thank you to Antonio Guillen for the video stuff. And thank you to Dave Moore for hosting the stuff. Otherwise, you know what's coming, guys. It's coming. Jason's coming. We had Patrick Stewart last week when Fiona McKinnon was on. Thank you to Fiona. And that's only for the Patreon bonus episodes, guys. So this has been episode 156 of We the GamerCast is now in your ears and your eyeballs. Thank you again for listening. I'll be back next week. I hope you're there too. Now it's time for Jason. Jason, press X for Jason. I have been yelling a lot for Lincoln to still be sleeping. Goodbye.
Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Sean, where are you? Jason! 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 Sean! 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 Jason! 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 Jason!